Switzerland to follow France and investigate sexual abuse in Catholic Church.
Here's a summary of the article.
Following in the footsteps of France, the Catholic Church in Switzerland recently instructed 2 historians to investigate sexual abuse within the organization, reported RTS. The researchers running the investigation are from the University of Zurich. They now have the task of collecting testimony from victims, which will form the basis of a report on sexual abuse within the Swiss Catholic Church. The organizations requesting the investigation include the Swiss Bishops' Conference, KOVOS, and RKZ, 3 Catholic associations in Switzerland. The written agreement to proceed with the investigation was signed in November 2021. Innumerable people have endured deep suffering linked to sexual abuse in the Roman Catholic Church, underlined a press release by the organization. The results of an investigation into the Catholic Church in France published earlier this year detailed the abuse of 216,000 children by clergy between 1950 and 2020. A number that climbs to 330,000 when claims against lay members of the Church, such as teachers at church schools, are included. The Roman Catholic Church in France was found to have systematically shielded clergy from prosecution.
This post received a score of 4,900, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Australia did a huge investigation with all religious organizations. They found some astounding things. They ended up creating a law that churches had to sign on to pay damages current and future. Churches who didn't join lost their tax-free status.
This should be a law everywhere, for every religious institution.
Ireland, you've got a lot of evidence to hand over.
Australia, New Zealand, France, Ireland, US, Canada, South Africa, Jamaica and Barbados can share their info with the Swiss. But I can guess the findings now. The church hid, moved and shielded the sick pedo priests. And bullied, cajoled, bribed and isolated victims and parents alike.
Let this initiative spread across the world. Remove and convict every pedo that is exposed.
So you're saying just shut down the entire church? Lol.
The results of an investigation into the Catholic Church in France published earlier this year detailed the abuse of 216,000 children by clergy between 1950 and 2020, a number that climbs to 330,000 when claims against lay members of the Church, such as teachers at church schools, are included. Basically, the Catholic Church is a long-term, multiple-generation, children-abusing club. Shut it down. Seize all its assets. Compensate the victims. It probably has abused more children than the Mafia and the Triads.
You want to know the funniest thing? The French bishops started floating the idea of asking money from parishioners to cover the compensation. It was dropped when someone reminded them how assets they have just in Paris.
The Irish government has recently been ordered to hand over data to the US government.
Do you have a source for that? I haven't seen it. I don't doubt it, and would very much support it, but Google returns nothing specific.
It's about fucking time. Haven't we known about this for years?
Actual decades.
Centuries.
Never did find out what makes priests so irresistible to young children.
This comment was so wrong. Still almost spit out my coffee.
Now to government officials.
The abused tend to become abusers. With the church being such an enclosed system with people being born and raised only to continue to then work in it. This is something any such system needs to keep checks in place to prevent such activity from spreading through the generations of the organization.
Also the literally shielding and relocating of pedophiles to other communities.
Yeah, I think this gets forgotten a bit. It's not just a question of individual church institutions that have some bad apples that abuse children. It's that there is a systemic attempt to hide, cover up, bribe and blackmail people to hide the crimes. The Holy See is a critical piece in this cogwheel of depravity, and until it makes serious amends, then you have to treat the members of the cloth with a healthy dose of, is this dude a kiddie fucker? We literally can't know if he's just a priest, or maybe one of those priests who has changed diocese because he was caught with an altar boy.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.